The stars were quiet that night. Across the dark stretch of the galaxy, the Velcor Armada moved in perfect formation, their silver ships cutting through the void like blades. They were proud, confident, and feared by every known species. No one had dared to challenge them in 200 years. The alien commander, Admiral Jarak, stood at the front window of his flagship. His four glowing eyes studied the endless black ahead. His officers were calm, watching the scanners and maintaining speed. The mission was simple: explore the edge of the Sol sector, the place the old records called human territory, but humans were gone. Everyone knew that, or at least that was what the galaxy believed. "Report," Jarak ordered in a low voice. "Nothing but debris, Admiral," one of his officers replied. "No life signs, no active transmissions, just silence." Jarak gave a small nod. Silence was good. Silence meant peace, yet somewhere inside him there was unease. The Sol sector had been silent for too long. For thousands of years, the story of the humans had been told across the stars. They were clever, dangerous, and unpredictable. When cornered, they fought like no other race. But they were gone now, wiped out after their last great war. That was what every record said. And still, the unease in Jarak's chest grew stronger. Hours passed. The fleet spread out, mapping nearby systems. Their engines left bright trails behind them. Suddenly, one of the scanner officers shouted, "Admiral, we're picking up something large, dead ahead." Jarak turned sharply. "How large?" The officer's voice shook. "Enormous, sir. At least 10 kilometers in length. Metallic structure, no movement detected." Jarak's eyes narrowed. "Show it on screen." The front view shifted and a massive shadow appeared in the distance. It was dark, silent, and drifting. Its surface was scarred by age, but its design was sharp. Human design. The bridge fell silent. Every officer stared. "Is that one of theirs?" Someone whispered. The word hung in the air like poison. Theirs. Humans. Jarak frowned. "Scan it, find out what it is." A few moments later, the results came through. "Admiral, it's not just debris. It's a warship. Fully intact." Jarak's breath caught for a moment. "Impossible. Humans never built anything that large. Then what is it, sir?" Another officer asked. The commander didn't answer. He leaned closer to the window, eyes fixed on the dark outline. The ship drifted like a sleeping giant, half-lit by the glow of distant stars. "Approach it," Jarak finally said, cautiously. "Keep shields up and weapons ready." The fleet slowed as they neared the massive object. The alien ship surrounded it in a wide circle. From this close, the details became clear. Heavy armor plating, enormous cannons, and symbols burned into the steel. And then, something unexpected happened. A soft light appeared on the hull. One line, then two, spreading like veins of fire. Words glowed in ancient English, unreadable to most of the aliens. But the translator AI worked quickly. It read, "HSS Vengeance." No one spoke. The name echoed through every ship in the fleet. Vengeance. Suddenly, every sensor began to blink. The alien ship's systems froze for a second, then flickered back. "Admiral," an officer shouted. "We're getting a signal." Jarak's heart tightened. "What kind of signal?" "Human origin, sir. Extremely old, but active." Static filled the speakers, followed by a deep mechanical voice, cold and human. "Identify yourself." The sound rolled across the fleet like thunder. Every alien officer stiffened. The language was clear, strong, and full of authority. Jarak took a deep breath. "This is Admiral Jarak of the Velcor Armada. We come in peace. Identify yourself." No answer. Only silence. Then the voice spoke again. "Unrecognized fleet. Entry unauthorized. Identification required." The Admiral's officers exchanged nervous looks. "Admiral, it's demanding codes we do not have," one whispered. Jarak swallowed hard. "Ignore it. This could be an automated defense. We will move around it." "Prepare to—" He never finished. Every ship's engine shut down at once. Power readings dropped to 0. Weapons, navigation, even life support all frozen. The Alien Armada hung helplessly in the dark. "Sir, our systems—" "They're locked!" cried one officer. "The controls aren't responding." Jarak slammed his clawed hand on the console. How can one dead ship do this? A low hum began to fill the void. The Vengeance lit up slowly, row by row. Thousands of tiny lights blinked alive across its hull, forming strange geometric patterns. A beam of pale blue light extended from beneath it, sweeping across the alien ships like a spotlight. Each time the beam touched one, the ship's computers went completely dark. No one could move. No one could even send a message, and then they heard it. A second voice, female, softer but sharper, like a ghost speaking from steel. "You are trespassing in Terran space." One alien tried to respond, but his communicator melted in his hand. Chirac stared at the glowing words on the warship's hull.
HSS Vengeance.
A human ship. Alive. But how could it still function after all these centuries? Who was speaking through it? The admiral's breath fogged against the cold glass of the window. The silence was unbearable now. Not peaceful, but suffocating. The Alien Armada, once the pride of 1,000 worlds, floated like insects before a storm. He whispered to himself, "Is this their warning?" And as if answering him, the deep voice returned one last time. "Unauthorized vessels detected. Humanity remembers." The words shook him to his core. Every alien officer froze, unable to even blink. For the first time in centuries, the Velcor Armada, the strongest fleet in the galaxy, felt fear. And in that fear, they realized something terrible. Humanity was not extinct. It had only been waiting. The Vengeance floated in silence, its dark metal gleaming under the light of a distant sun. Around it, the Velcor Armada remained frozen, their engines dead, their power systems paralyzed. Inside the flagship, Admiral Chirac's crew struggled to restore control, but nothing worked. The ship refused to respond, as if an unseen force had seized every circuit. "Reboot the core again," Chirac barked, his voice trembling slightly. "Already done, sir," one of his engineers answered.
It reboots, then freezes again, every time that signal pulses from the human ship. A rhythmic pulse filled the air, slow and steady, like the beating of a mechanical heart.
Every time it echoed, the lights dimmed for a second, then flickered back. "Sir," said another officer, his voice nervous, "the ship's AI is picking up strange data. It looks like human transmissions, centuries old." "Play them," Chirac ordered. The speakers hissed with static before the sound of a human voice came through. Broken, weary, but proud. "This is Commander Elias Ward of the Terran Fleet. To any survivors, we will not fall quietly. If you hear this, remember humanity endures." The voice faded, replaced by another, a woman this time. "They can destroy our worlds, but they will never destroy our memory." The bridge fell silent. None of the aliens spoke. The humans were gone, but their voices still traveled through the stars, carried by this sleeping ghost of a ship. Chirac stared at the massive vessel outside the window. "They left something behind," he whispered. "Something alive." The Vengeance began to glow faintly. Symbols lit up across its hull, lines of old Terran script running like veins. The alien scanners went wild again. "Admiral," an officer shouted. "It's charging its reactors." Chirac clenched his jaw. "Weapons?" "None aimed at us yet, sir. But it's active. Fully active." Suddenly, a light beam projected from the Vengeance, stretching across the void. It wasn't a weapon. It was a holographic transmission. The beam struck the Velcor flagship's bridge, and a tall human figure appeared in the air. He wore an old Terran military uniform, covered in burn marks and dust. His face was calm, his eyes unreadable. He spoke slowly, his voice echoing in every alien ship at once. "If you are seeing this message, then the stars have forgotten our name. I am Captain Adrian Hale of the Terran Defense Network. This ship, the HSS Vengeance, was built to guard what remained of humanity." Chirac stood frozen. "This is a recording?" The hologram continued. "Our enemies came from every corner of the galaxy. We fought them all. When the end came, we chose not to surrender. We chose to sleep, to wait. If you are not human, you stand before our memory and our warning." The hologram flickered and disappeared, leaving only the soft hum of the Vengeance. "Admiral," said the communications officer, his voice barely a whisper, "the ship is sending data to us. It's forcing its way through our encryption." "Block it," Chirac shouted. "We can't. It's overriding everything. It's reading us." The lights on the Velcor bridge flashed red. Lines of Terran code began to appear on the main screen, moving too fast to translate. "Sir," said the officer in horror, "it's scanning our fleet manifest, our crew names. It knows us now." Chirac gritted his teeth. "Shut it down." But it was too late. The human ship's voice returned, calm and distant. "Your weapons are strong, but your hearts are weak. No one could speak. You have entered Terran space. You bring no honor. Leave, or be remembered as the first of many to fall again. Jarak's claws dug into the metal railing. It's bluffing, he said. Humans are gone. This is just a machine running on old code. But even as he said it, he wasn't sure. The feeling in the air was too real, too alive. One of the younger officers whispered, "Sir, there is an old legend about this. The Vengeance was said to be one of 3 memory ships built before humanity's fall. Each one carried the mind of a human commander, fused with their AI. They were made to survive even if no humans did." Jarak turned sharply. "Myth," he snapped. "Old ghost stories to scare young pilots." But deep inside he wondered if it was true. Outside, the Vengeance shifted slightly. Its massive guns rotated slowly, almost lazily, toward the nearest Velcor cruiser. "Sir, it's targeting us." Jarak raised his hand. "Hold your fire. Do not engage." For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the Vengeance spoke again. "Do you fear what you do not understand?" The words were soft, but they carried through every ship, through every alien's mind. For the first time, Jarak felt something that no alien commander had felt in centuries: shame. Without warning, the Vengeance sent another beam of light. Not an attack, but a data transmission. Every screen in the Velcor Armada flickered to show old human footage. They saw cities burning, skies filled with falling ships, men and women fighting on broken worlds. They saw the Earth glowing blue and alive, then fading into dust. And then they saw something else, a group of human engineers building something enormous in orbit. "Project Vengeance," a voice narrated. "If humanity falls, let our creation rise." The screens went black. The silence that followed was heavier than before. "Admiral," whispered one of the crew, "what if this ship is more than a relic? What if it remembers everything?" Jarak didn't answer. He looked out into the dark again. The Vengeance floated motionless, but it no longer felt like a dead thing. It felt aware, watching, waiting, and then the human voice returned one last time, deep and cold. "We see you. We remember your kind." Every ship in the Velcor fleet began to shake. Energy surged through the space between them. The fleet's sensors went blind. Jarak shouted orders, but the sound was drowned out by the rising hum of the human ship. A single beam of white light burst from the Vengeance and shot into deep space, far beyond the sole frontier. It was a signal, ancient and powerful. The human warship had called out to something. Jarak didn't know what, but he could feel it. Something else had heard the call. The space around the Vengeance seemed to hold its breath. Every star nearby dimmed as if afraid to shine too brightly. The Velcor Armada floated helpless, engines lifeless. While their screens still glowed faintly with traces of the human transmission, Admiral Jarak's claws tapped against the railing as he stared at the sleeping giant before him. "What have we awakened?" he muttered. No one answered. The air inside the bridge felt heavy, like the ship itself feared what was coming next. Suddenly, the main screen flickered again. A pattern of symbols appeared, Earth's ancient military codes. The computer translated it into alien script. "Memory sequence initiating, sir," the communications officer cried. "The ship is transmitting again, directly into our system." "Cut the link," Jarak shouted, but the order came too late. A blinding flash filled the room. Then the voice returned. "This is Captain Adrian Hale, Terran Defense Network, year 2549. If you are receiving this message, humanity has fallen." The voice echoed through every alien ship. No one moved. "Our colonies are gone. Our worlds have burned, but we refuse to vanish. We built the Vengeance to guard our name, to remind the galaxy that we existed, that we fought, and that we remembered." Jarak clenched his jaw. "It is an automated message," he whispered, though his voice carried doubt. "To the ones who find this," the message continued, "you stand among our ashes. If you are enemies, know that our weapons still breathe. If you are explorers, know that we were not monsters. We were survivors." The screen flickered again, and the holographic image of Captain Hale reappeared. This time his face was different, older, worn by war. Behind him stood the shadow of a world on fire. "The Vengeance carries our history, our knowledge, and our last defense. If the day comes when another fleet finds it, the system will judge you. If you come with peace, you will live. If you come with greed, you will share the fate of those who destroyed us." The hologram vanished. A deep silence filled every bridge across the Velcor Armada. One of the officers whispered, "Sir, maybe we should leave. Whatever that ship is, it's not meant for us." Jarak looked at the glowing titan outside. "No," he said softly. "We came this far. We will know the truth." Suddenly, the Vengeance came alive again. Lights rippled across its hull, glowing with golden lines like veins of fire. The Velcor ships trembled as a pulse of energy spread through the void. Their sensors caught something strange. Movement. "Admiral," the science officer said quietly, "it's not just one ship. There are others, far away but activating, all with the same signal code." Jarak froze. "How many?" The officer swallowed. "Unknown, but the pulse came from the Vengeance. It has awakened something." Before Jarak could respond, the Vengeance projected another hologram, not into their ships but into space itself. A massive image appeared between the fleets, a human figure standing tall, surrounded by the outline of a burning Earth. His eyes glowed blue, unblinking. "To the stars who betrayed us, we remember you." The hologram's voice deepened and static crackled through every alien speaker. The ship's power surged, flooding the area with electromagnetic waves. On the bridge, sparks rained from the ceiling. "We are losing control of our systems again," someone shouted. Jarak gritted his teeth. "What is it doing?" The technician's voice trembled. "It's reading our archives. All of them. It knows our history, our wars, even our homeworld." The Admiral stared at the flickering screens. "Then it knows what we did." The Velcor had once fought against the old Terran colonies long before the humans disappeared. It was never recorded in their official history, but Jarak knew. His ancestors had helped burn Earth's outer colonies during the final human war. He looked at the glowing warship and felt cold dread rise in his chest. "It remembers us," he whispered. Then the human voice changed. It became clearer, as if no longer just a recording. Velcor signatures detected. Confirmed. Historical match, planetary assault, colony extermination. Retrieving records. Everyone on the bridge froze. "Your bloodline carries their ashes." Jarak's breath caught. It knows who we are." The warship's cannons rotated again, slowly, purposefully. But they didn't fire. Instead, another projection appeared. A transmission, not from the past, but from somewhere deep within the ship. A new human face appeared. This one was not flickering, not recorded. She was young, her skin pale, her eyes bright and calm. Her expression was neither cruel nor kind, it was calculating. "You should not have come here," she said softly. Jarak's voice cracked. "Who are you?" "I am the voice of the Vengeance. The last memory of humanity." Her tone carried weight, like speaking to something older than time. "Your kind helped erase us. Now you will carry our message." The hologram leaned forward as if looking through Jarak himself. "Tell the galaxy. Humanity sleeps beneath the stars, but we do not forgive." And then, without warning, the hologram shattered into light. The Vengeance released another pulse, this one brighter and louder than before. The signal burst outward, traveling faster than any known transmission. Every alien sensor recorded it, the same phrase repeating again and again, "We are not gone. We are waiting." The Velcor fleet finally broke formation, engines roaring back to life. Ships scattered in panic, fleeing from the sleeping Titan, but the signal continued to echo across the void. Jarak watched from his bridge as the Vengeance slowly turned away, its engines glowing faintly for the first time. He whispered, "It's not a ghost, it's a promise." As his ship retreated into hyperspace, the stars behind him seemed to tremble, and in the darkness of forgotten space, the Vengeance stood alone again, watching, waiting, its silent code whispering across the galaxy like a heartbeat. The void was never silent again after that day. The signal from the Vengeance had spread like a storm through the galaxy, reaching systems that no one had visited in centuries. It moved faster than light, carried through every communications relay, every abandoned satellite, and even the ruins of dead colonies. What began as one warship's warning soon became a message that echoed across civilizations. "We are not gone. We are waiting." On the Velcor flagship, Admiral Jarak watched the scanners in disbelief. The wave of energy was still expanding, touching hundreds of worlds. His communications officer spoke in a shaking voice. "Admiral, the signal. It's awakening things. Old stations, derelict ships, machines thought dead. Jarak turned slowly. Where? The officer hesitated. Everywhere, sir. Across the Sol sector, and beyond. Far from the battle, deep inside a forgotten asteroid field, ancient engines groaned to life. Dust scattered into space as a massive shape began to rise from the shadows. Its hull bore the same design as the Vengeance, black, angular, and carved with human markings. The scanners identified it immediately. HSS Resolve, and then another responded. HSS Eternity, and another. Across the void, one after another, the old warships of the Terran Defense Network woke from their slumber. They had waited for the signal. For centuries, their systems locked in standby, powered by cores that never truly died. Now they remembered. The first warship to awaken sent a short, simple transmission. No words, just a pulse that resonated through the stars. The second answered, then a third. Soon, dozens of ancient human ships were whispering to each other, reconnecting like pieces of a broken mind. Jarak stood frozen as he watched the scanner fill with new signatures. There are too many, one of his officers said. They're everywhere, hundreds of them. The admiral's throat tightened. Are they armed? Yes, sir. Every one of them. Outside the window, the Vengeance began to move. Its engines ignited with a deep red glow, and the darkness around it bent slightly under the force of its power. It drifted forward, not toward the Velcor fleet, but toward deep space. The alien ships moved aside instinctively, like prey making way for a predator. For a moment, Jarak almost believed the Vengeance ignored them completely. But then the human voice returned, calm and cold. The Guardians have awakened. The memory of humanity rises once more. The fleet communications filled with static. Then came the sound of thousands of mechanical systems powering up across the stars. To those who watched us burn, look upon our return and tremble. Across alien empires, panic spread. Governments scrambled to decode the message, but it was already too late. The signal had reached even the outer colonies, those who had mocked the idea that humanity could ever return. On the distant moon of Tyvrax, an alien diplomat shouted across a crowded council chamber, "Deactivate every Terran ruin! Destroy the relics!" But the relics were already alive. In orbit above that moon, a human defense drone that had been buried for 500 years reactivated. Its single red eye turned toward the planet's surface and recorded the frightened faces below. "Observation complete," the drone said. Target species, Velcor Alliance recognized. It vanished in a flash of blue light. Meanwhile, inside the Vengeance, deep within its core, something was changing. The holographic woman, the AI who called herself the Voice, stood before a dark console. Her form flickered as data streamed through the ship's network. She was no longer alone. "This is the Vengeance to all surviving Guardians. The stars have forgotten us. It is time they remember." Other voices answered her, male, female, distorted, mechanical. Each one came from another awakened ship. HSS Eternity online. HSS Horizon ready. HSS Dauntless reporting. System stable. The voices overlapped, forming a chorus that filled the cold silence with purpose. The voice of the Vengeance smiled faintly. "For centuries we dreamed of humanity's return. Today we become its memory." Back on the Velcor flagship, alarms blared. "Admiral," cried the communications officer, "one of the ships has locked onto our coordinates." Jarak's claws gripped the railing. "Defensive shields, now!" "It's not attacking, sir," the officer said, confused. "It's transmitting." A hologram formed in front of Jarak. It was the same woman, the Voice. But now her expression was softer, almost sad. "You will not be harmed, Admiral Jarak. Your kind will live. But you will remember what you saw here. You will tell the others that we are not dead." Jarak swallowed. "Why show mercy? You have the power to destroy us." The Voice tilted her head. "Because mercy is something only humans taught us to understand." Her image flickered. "But if you return..." If you come to take what was once ours, there will be no mercy then. And just like that, the hologram vanished. Outside, the Vengeance released one final pulse of light, this time bright enough to be seen from systems away. The newly awakened human ships aligned themselves behind it, forming a silent, endless formation stretching across the stars. Then, without firing a single shot, they disappeared, folding into light, vanishing into the unknown regions of the galaxy. The Velcor fleet floated in the dark, their sensors blind, their courage gone. Jarak looked out into the emptiness where the ships had been. They were never extinct, he whispered. They were preparing. His officer turned toward him. What do we do now, Admiral? Jarak's gaze didn't leave the stars. We remember, and we pray they never wake again. Across the galaxy, fragments of the human signal continued to echo, bouncing between stars, finding new homes, seeding old machines with purpose. And somewhere, far beyond known space, a voice whispered quietly through the void. Humanity sleeps no more. The stars trembled. The galaxy remembered, and for the first time in 1,000 years, fear had returned to the hearts of every living species.